Well, I'm here with Uwe Boll, writer and director of First Shift. I saw that you retired and you came out. I believe this is the second movie you got coming out, but this movie is markedly different than the ones I'm used to seeing from you with the House of the Dead, Alone in the Dark, Postal, which is just an insane masterpiece. But this is it seemed like a buddy cop movie, but it's just kind of a hangout movie in a way. And I really like how the two characters in this just kind of go back and forth. What was your approach to making this one?
So what happened is that the little episodes in the film, like the mafia thing where they kill the son, the 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 suicide of the murder suicide kind of thing with the brother from Kristen Renton, they were all little stories I wrote a few years ago, but they were not connected to a film. And I was thinking the whole time, this is not enough. Or the old guy gets a heart attack and the dog is alone. So I wrote ideas down, but it was not connected to a cop film. And then at one point, because I'm not a fast writer, so a lot of things I'm sitting on for months and sometimes for years, I had the idea, what is if I move that all to New York? What is if I move it all in a cop film? And they are only like the side stories, not the main stories. The main story is, in a way, a classic situation where a guy doesn't want a partner and get the partner and has to like handle the new partner. That is how First Shift came together. And I love New York. I could never live there, but I love New York to be there from time to time. And so I always wanted to come back after Assault on Wall Street, and we did some stuff on Alone in the Dark 2 in New York. I shot two advertising clips in New York. So I always wanted to go back to New York, and I think here was the perfect opportunity.
And what was the casting process like getting Gino and Kristen together? Because I mean, buddy cop movies like this kind of live and die on the chemistry of the two leads.
Yeah, so Gino was the first guy I hired for the whole film, and it really I did like a casting call, and he emailed me, and I looked at his credits and I know him from various shows, Shades of Blue and so on, and I emailed him. I said, "Look, you really want to do the film? I don't have a lot of money, so it's not like you get a lot of money for it." And he loved the idea, and then we worked together very strongly on the script too, like how the people talk. He is from Philadelphia, so and I cannot write English dialogue. So I can put the bullet points in, and then he wrote it all. And then Kristen knows him from something, and they started chatting about it. And then we were like chatting all three together and developing these characters together for at least 6 to 8 weeks. And it was a lot of fun. And they brought all their personality in it. And yeah, and that turned out very, very good. I mean, a very good experience for me in regards of working with the actors on the characters. And how I wrote the original, it was a little different. And I think Angela was a darker figure. Like she was like this kind of also a little more depressed in a way. And she made it very, just she's just a positive person. And I think that was for the film gold. I think it plays very well. It's very entertaining to watch the film based on this two characters.
You mentioned that writing takes you a while. What's the kind of hurdle that you gotta climb? Like, do you have trouble like coming up with the story or interacting with the characters, or like what do you stumble on with that?
Mm. No, it's like sometimes I have ideas, I write them down, but I recognize that it's only a short movie, that it's not a film. And so, and then sometimes it happened to me on my film, what I'm in post-production now also Run is a film about the migration crisis in Europe. It's also like I put some bullet points down or some ideas, and then I work on it. But a lot of times my surrounding story or the big story of the film comes later, and in the beginning are only just scenes or a character. And I think that is maybe unusual. I know a lot of director writers, they have first the story and then they develop they have the main story straight and then they go for the little side angles. And sometimes in my case, it's different. So, but yeah, and as I said, I'm not a person like sometimes I write something and I'm really jumping in and I can write like a maniac, and then it's poof, it's gone, it's gone. And for 3 weeks, I'm just like, like then I don't really know how I continue with it. I have at least 4 or 5 scripts for 10 years unfinished in my computer, and I don't want to read them anymore. Let's say it this way. I know there are some good ideas in, but it's like this kind of, there was too much for me, too much stress to continue with them.
Yeah. And so when you retired, you started a restaurant, and my co-host Greg interviewed Michael Pere a while ago, and he mentioned that the two of you bonded over food and cooking.
Yeah.
Is that still a passion? Is that still something why leave that? It just seems like so much fun, or do you still do the restaurants and the films at the same time?
No, the restaurant was closed at COVID. And I had like kind of a clash with the landlord too. And in the very end, I think it was a good step to close it and to not reopen. So we saved a lot of nerves and money in just closing right off the bat. And but it was a good restaurant, a higher end restaurant. And Michael Pere is a learned chef, right? He can really cook. Like in a restaurant, he worked in a restaurant when he grew up and when he was younger. So and he's a big foodie, me too. And when we shoot together films, we always try to find out the best possible restaurants to check out and so on. And he cooked for me. I will never forget that. I don't know what film it was, but he did coq au vin, like the whole chicken in the pot. And he did that all at home in his rental apartment in Vancouver when we were shooting something. I think we shot Postal or something. And it was amazing. So he really can pull it off. I'm a hobby cook. I cook at home too, and I have some dishes I'm really good at. And but I'm not like a professional cook in any form. I just like.
So what are some dishes that you can cook that it's like I got this. You guys put the forks down. I got this one.
Of course, I'm good with spaghetti and stuff like this, like some noodle dishes. But I'm very good with like some classic German dishes like sauerbraten. I don't know what that is, but it's a big roast, and you put it in a pot for 4 days with like vinegar, red wine, apple juice, spices, and it's like sitting in that thing. And then you put it out of the pot and you grill it very brown, very dark brown, and then you put it back in the pot and you simmer it for 6 hours. This you eat with red cabbage and potato dumplings. The sauce is to die for. It's like the best sauce, classical German thing. I'm very good in that dish, but it's a winter dish. Like in summer you sweat like a pig. You cannot do that in summer. So, but in winter it's very nice. So yeah, that's it. And I mean, the retirement came when you see the status quo of the 2016 situation. Blockbuster died, DVDs and videos died. I saw it was not a retirement because I didn't want to make films anymore. I didn't saw like the light on the end of the tunnel, right? I didn't saw like, okay, but how you ever want to get money back if you make a film without video rental or video sales, Blu-ray sales. And at that point, streaming was not the solution. It was not so big. It came, but it was not like basically there where it is now. And I think then streaming got so big that I felt around 2020, 2021, I felt like maybe I should try to make more films because I just love it. I really missed it. It was like all my life I did films and I always wanted to make films, and I got really kind of depressed about it, that it's over. And I felt, no, then let me try to go back in the business.
And what's the business plan now? Because I had a friend that Anderson that made a movie, and he says that Amazon has made more money off of his movie than he ever did. And it just seems like that's kind of the case. Like, how you put a movie out, how do you make money?
No, I unfortunately have to agree. It's still unsolved, right? Because when the Amazon and Apple and the streamers taking your movie on after you filmed it, they don't pay you a lot of money. It's like they give like Ryan Reynolds 250 million bucks to shoot a film, but if when they acquire your film, they give you like 50 grand or 100,000 bucks for a year. So the key is now, I think, to bring a movie out, to get some advertising going. Basically, how Quiver is it doing with First Shift? You get a few movie theaters. You you try to get the movie out there that people know about the film, and then you hopefully sell like on SVOD and pay TV and so on to cable channels the film, and you make slowly your money back. So, but it's still in a way right now. I know a lot of people in Hollywood, they're like kind of in a crisis mode, because a lot of filming doesn't happen now. It's like it came to a crunch after the strike was over. Now it's 25% less production as I think last year. So it's a problematic situation. And I think the good thing is it got cheaper to make films because the computer effects are cheaper, the equipment is cheaper, you don't need a lot of lights anymore. I mean, the cameras, like a Alexa camera and so on, they are so like you can basically film without any lights everywhere. It got cheaper, the technical aspects to make a film got cheaper, and that is a good thing, so, and then if you find actors who are willing to also not getting overpaid and supporting independent films, then you can do something, so, and that is what I want to do, and so the plan is that I do every year a film. That was my plan. I mean, I did First Shift and last year, and this year I did Run, and so, and then hopefully next year I can make another film.
Is there any future as far as doing physical media and something like this, or is that just more trouble than it's worth at this point?
No, I tried that every film of mine comes out on DVD and Blu-ray. I also hope that Quiver is doing it. We just released a Postal on 4K with Massacre Video. So, and Blood Rain is also on 4K now. So we used old 35mm prints to do a new version. And they are in North America on Blu-ray and DVD available. I love Blu-rays and DVDs because I like to do my director's commentaries and, making offs, trailers on it. So I'm a physically guy. I love it to have something in my hands. And I wish the DVD has a comeback like the records have, the music LPs, like the record, the long player records. So maybe it comes back. I know there are still a lot of people, they love it. In Germany, the market is still okay. It's like it went drastically down, of course, but here regularly, basically all the movies are also still available as DVD and Blu-ray in Germany. And in most of the countries, unfortunately, it's not the case.
Yeah, that's definitely more of a boutique thing nowadays than its heyday. But I also got to agree, like with the behind the scenes and the director's commentaries, like that's if you don't have it on Blu-ray or DVD, you just don't get that anymore. And sometimes when you get it on Blu-ray and DVD, it's not on there anymore, which is also kind of strange.
Yeah, and then also like things like when you see now how much stuff Warner or also Paramount, whatever, removing Disney, they're removing things from their streaming platforms. So now you don't have necessarily access to it at all. So, like the point was from them to say, you don't need any more DVDs or Blu-rays because we have it all there. But it's not all there. It's not like all movies Paramount ever made are on Paramount Plus. And so how you want to keep then film history alive in a way, so I'm very proud of my DVD and Blu-ray collection still, and I'm happy to have them, and I will never sell them or something, and I think it's a good thing. I recently watched Apocalypse Now again, and like stuff like this, and it's just amazing, and the quality is also extremely valuable still. It's like not looking bad or something.
Okay. Well, you mentioned removing scenes and movies from streaming, and the case of Warner Brothers, they removed the movie before it even comes out. So isn't that nice?
I know they did that various times now, right? And I think these are tax reasons or something why they do this, because otherwise it's not really understandable. If you make a film for 50 million bucks or 70 million bucks, to not show it at all is insane. You know, to maybe not bring it to the movie theaters, that is understandable if they think they have not a good film, but to not even stream it, that it's just like unbelievable. But that happens now various times. Even Netflix, I think, didn't show the few of their films they produced.
Yeah. Well, Uwe, kind of want to get an idea of what's a movie you've seen recently that maybe it might be real personal to you, or a movie that's like, this movie's real good and I wish more people would see it. Just some movies you can kind of pull, from the dark corners and kind of shine a little light on them.
I like The Killer with Fassbinder. For example, I liked the film because it was a little different as I saw it before. I'm watching, unfortunately, a lot of films with my kids. So, I went in Twisters and whatever, and Minions and stuff like this. But I cannot say that these are like my favorite films. A lot of times now, for example, I just watched Banshee, the whole 4 seasons, because Ulrich Thomsen is in my film run. And I don't know if you ever watch it, that HBO show. It's like the Amish people, mafia, whatever. And it's super brutal. I was very, very surprised that this was on HBO, because that is a harsh NC-17 TV series, and it's way more brutal as Breaking Bad was and stuff. It's like totally, but that had a real like impact on me. The way they did the violence was very ruthless, and I kind of liked that. So I mean, it's tough to say. A lot of films coming out, a lot of Oscar contenders, where you watch it and you feel, why I'm not so excited about the films, how I was about the films of the 90s or 80s, the Goodfellas and all these kind of films that made me way more excited, as a lot of the films I'm watching right now. Yeah. A lot of CGI and effects, and they look fake. A lot of times they just look fake, and I'm more of a different generation. I like Heat, Ronin, this kind of stuff. And films like this are not really getting out there right now.
Yeah. And I guess we'll just end on this. Not including First Shift, but what would you give like a quick top 5 Uwe Boll movies? Like the top 5 movies that you did that's like, these are the ones.
Postal, Darfur, like Attack on Darfur, Assault on Wall Street, Rampage, and it's like Stoic was very strong, but it's very brutal, very claustrophobic also. Tunnel Rats is a good film. The Vietnam War movie, I liked it a lot. Yeah. So, but I mean, the Postal was the biggest fun for me to shoot, and I'm very proud. Today, I watched a docu of the Running with Scissors guys. They made a whole documentary about Postal, the game, and the film, and they interviewed me, and they showed me today the 20 minutes, 25 minutes of the film part in the docu, and it was just hilarious, and it was so funny how the actors now talk about it. Zach Ward, they were in the interview, Larry Thomas, and so on, and it was very entertaining to watch it. The poster was a blast to shoot, and we had it in a German movie theater playing a few weeks ago, and I watched it with audience that laughed their ass off. So that was a lot of fun. I mean, Assault on Wall Street, Darfur, Rampage, I think are great films. But they're very hard, and it's nothing you want to watch over and over again. But I think Rampage and Postal turned in these 2 cult films I made. And the editor from First Shift, Ethan Manikis, he did like Sin City and all this kind of Robert Rodriguez films. And I met him basically in a bar, and he said he loved Postal and said Robert Rodriguez loved, but they all loved Postal a lot. And I think Postal is loved by a lot of people, but it stayed totally underground, right? Did you ever saw Postal on Netflix? No. You know, it's the thing. It's like, it's this kind of film everybody kind of know and everybody kinds of love, but nobody really wants to identify with it. Like from the big streamers, for example, I think they're all scared to show it because it's harsh, right? But it's funny.
I think in a way that's in that lane is kind of what makes it remain kind of a cool thing. Because like once something gets pulled from obscurity into the mainstream, it's like, yeah, we've heard that. But then like Postal still that, ooh, have you seen Postal? Let me show you this. And it's like
Yeah.
opening this dusty treasure chest and shiny Postal comes out. It's like, what is this?
Yeah. No, it's interesting when I go to a convention or something and sign DVDs and people coming with the DVDs, you can really say 50% of the DVDs I sign are Postal. And I made 36 films in my life. And that one film is 50% of the fan base coming in and saying, look, you I want your signature. And they're all coming out when you do Postal 2 and when you do this and that. And I said, look, I'm happy to do Postal 2, but somebody needs to invest. They have to give some money to make it, So, and I know one thing: if you would Postal out on Netflix tonight and under new releases, it would be a smash hit. It would get very fast, I think, through the roof because people would start watching it and think like, "What the fuck?" It's this kind of film where you have like when you have, I think the opening with the pilots of September 11 was shown on YouTube, 28 million views for the opening of Postal. So it is it would have an audience.
Yeah. Well, Uwe, thanks for joining me. Everyone go see First Shift in theaters, on demand, and digital August 30th. I really enjoyed this movie. Probably just watch it again tonight. And thanks for joining me and hope to talk to you again on the next one.
Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.